Before my race, I'm quite nervous and experience an adrenaline rush. Can a pump help me manage my levels during?
This is such a great question. I think what we find with many different sports and different activities is there can be a lot of influence to do with other hormones. And often people describe a huge elevation in their levels, particularly prior to competing or a race-based event, which is what this question's about. I think what we have to remind ourselves, though, is that everybody does respond differently to different activities and different hormonal responses to do with nerves. So I think it's really important that people develop a team response when they're going to, implement basic changes to do with their activity. But generally speaking, I'm going to say, well, yes, I think a pump that would help being able to deal with this. The pump, you can actually set different basal or background rate patterns to suit different days. So a lot of people when they train, as Jason said, have different requirements when they train as to different requirements when they actually compete. Because when you compete, the body secretes all sorts of different hormones, and there's a lot of fight and flight based hormones, and often they can cause a huge elevation in people's levels. So being able to use a pump, you can actually, before you went to bed the night before, you can set a different background pattern or basal pattern where you can deliver a much higher rate for a few hours prior to actually doing your event that can hopefully curb that rise that you get from the adrenaline rush and then come back down onto much lower rates to get you through the event without actually having an event where you drop too low or have to treat. So people find using background or basal adjustments a lot more predictable when they're competing, because bolus-based insulin or injector, insulin in one big bolus, often people find that very hard to predict based on activity levels and how they're going to get through a long event. So I'm going to say yes, I think a pump would help being able to deal with that, but you've got to work with people on how you can set certain settings to be able to address that.